Hey, it's Dan. The COVID outbreak's had an impact on a lot of things. Is it possible that it's impacting migration patterns of people moving in and around the country? Turns out it might be. A recent study suggests that fewer people are moving into bigger cities. In fact, New York City has seen the biggest drop in the number of people moving in since April, when the COVID outbreak really took hold. That's followed by the San Francisco Bay Area, Seattle, Boston, and in the fifth position, our very own Portland, Oregon. In fact, Portland has nearly a 10% drop in the number of people moving in. Now you might just say, well, duh, Dan, there's a pandemic, people just aren't moving. That's obvious. To which I'd say, actually, that's a good point. I tend to agree with you, except for the yeah, duh, Dan part, which frankly, I could do without. But it turns out that in mid-sized cities across the country, the number of people moving in is on the increase, meaning it's not just a matter of people not moving so much. It's a possible change in the dynamic as to where they're going to. The biggest jump is in Jacksonville, Florida, followed by places like Salt Lake City, Utah, Sacramento, California, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Kansas City, Missouri. Not normally the big names when you think about where all the people are going. There's a few theories on why this is. One is that older cities with larger urban cores tend to have older houses, which tended to be smaller. People might be looking for bigger houses now, which might be in these areas that have had more newer construction, newer being as far back as the 60s and 70s, but they might be looking for bigger homes on bigger lots than they might find in inner urban areas. They might be looking for more space, more places where they can go for walks or runs or bike rides that have fewer people around them, which tend to happen in suburban areas or areas with a little more sprawl, and that this could be a relationship just in terms of health. But another theory is that it could be that as employers and employees start to feel like maybe this work from home thing is going to stick for a while, even with vaccines and so forth, maybe more and more of us will continue to work remotely more often. There might not be the same need to live in Seattle, in the Bay Area, in New York City, in Portland, which would explain why perhaps a Sacramento starts to see a pickup. Why move to the Bay Area, deal with the congestion and the crowding, if you can go to a market like Sacramento that's a bit more affordable, not quite as crowded, and you can just telecommute. And maybe once a week you make the trip a couple hours into the city, but that's once a week. If you don't have to deal with all that every day, maybe you find once a week is pretty palatable, or once every 2 weeks, whatever the numbers might be. So the theory is that maybe these smaller to mid markets are going to see more population increases as people don't feel the need to be in the center of it from a business and employment standpoint. It's a pretty interesting idea and something that will take some time to watch and see if it plays out the way people think. And I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think you would be less likely to move to a larger city if you knew you could go to a smaller market and just work from home just as easily? Please let me know. I'm actually curious to hear what people's thoughts are on this. And in the meantime, of course, please do make it a great day. I'll talk to you soon.